Galnet News Digest, 5th of September 3309. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, the Thargoid Whisperer admits it was she who leaked a private Aegis conversation. The friendly Thargoids are gone. Rackham is under active investigation, and the first 2 Imperial statues have been announced. Plus, the new Super-Limpets can save you time and a bounty.
It was former Azimuth test subject D2 who released the conversation between Aegis leader Albert Ezro and Aidan Tanner last week, and she says she did it to prove that Aegis has been open and honest. In the conversation, which took place nearly 2 months ago, the Aegis staffers discussed how best to release the news that the Thargoids have been abducting millions of living humans and storing them in pods aboard their Titan motherships. Sjojin A says she released the recordings without permission, but with the intention of protecting Aegis from those who seek to denigrate its motives. During the conversations, Sjo can be heard interrupting to explain that these stored humans will be in some way essential to the Thargoids for the next phase of war. Aidan Tanner is believed to be developing a plan to recover those who have been abducted. From what is known, it seems likely that Aegis will rely on pilots to fly into the maelstrom and force the Titans to release the pods, or human beings, as they might be described. It is unclear when pilots might be asked to undertake this work, or if any additional equipment will be released by Aegis to make it easier to accomplish.
The friendly Thargoid interdiction that pointed the way to the ancient Thargoid Guardian battleground in Rego BU-Y B2-0 may have been a one-off fluke, according to Aegis. Thargoids have been intermittently present in the surrounding systems for a couple of weeks, but actually seeing one has been next to impossible, as they've seemed to be extremely shy. And now they've gone completely, with some commentators questioning whether they were ever there at all. Peace activist Dev Venkatesh said he was disappointed that we've lost an opportunity to communicate with non-hostile Thargoids, but at the same time he was pleased that the Thargoids chose to withdraw rather than fight. The Holloway Bioscience Institute's Dr. Yong-Hui Shin described the apparent Thargoid retreat as highly unusual, speculating that they may have been interrupted in some secret activity by the presence of so many human sightseers.
True to their word, the Federal Times has hired a detective agency to try to prove that independent presidential candidate Zachary Rackham made his fortune through piracy, and they've gone straight to someone who knows. Tarja Gavaris was, in 3305, Rackham Capital Investments' chief financial officer. It seems likely that she attempted to organise a hostile takeover of the corporation, but was dissuaded through Rackham's use of blackmail. Ironically, he threatened to expose her, as a former pirate. The Wallglass detective agency has reportedly already tracked Gavaris down, and will be interested to know what information she has on Rackham. Journalist Firemaker LaFosse could barely conceal his excitement. He hopes that Rackham can be implicated in funding the attempted coup against Archon Delane in May last year. By contrast, Rackham's running mate Harlan Turk has the support of populist icecasters when he claims the Times is breaching impartiality rules during the extended election run-up. Despite Rackham's wild promises of wealth for all, he remains an outsider, with the Law and Order candidate, Republican Jerome Archer, and Shadow President Felicia Winters of the Liberal Party far more likely to win the contest whenever President Hudson allows it to take place.
Capital and Topaz will gain new public art as a result of the hugely successful appeal for raw materials last week, and there's a promise of more triumphalist artwork to follow. The first two statues will be Emperor Arissa Livigny Duval, who will become the centrepiece of the Imperial Palace's central plaza, and Lady Florence Livigny, who will be placed in the main square of the Topaz metropolis, alongside the modernist representation of her lover and betrothed, the late Emperor Hengist, which is said to watch over the people of the Empire like a highly polished rectangular caretaker. It's unclear whether the statue of Lady Florence will be a minimally decorated lump of granite in keeping with the late Emperor's likeness, or if the gold, jadeite and platinum collected will be used to create something slightly more ostentatious.
The new, smarter limpets that have recently replaced the old dumb sort after Manticore applied a firmware fix are now far less likely to thud uselessly into a planetary surface. And rather handily, drones guarding cargo or materials on a planetary surface don't seem to notice them. So now you can steal that cargo without ever having to worry about a trespass warning. And if you're visiting Dav's Hope, not for the atmosphere, but just to collect materials, you no longer even need to land. Just drop some drones and clean up in seconds, repeatedly. Okay with that?
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.